All right, so here is the demo of the project that we are going to create together. This is the landing page for customers. So the product are displayed. Product can be filtered using names. It can be filtered using minimum price, using maximum price. It can also be filtered using newest. It can be filtered using lower to higher. So you just need to select the field. Then it is now going to filter the products for you. So these are few among many other features of this marketplace. This is for customer. Then we have the dashboard of that particular customer. So any customer have his own dashboard. This is the great dashboard created for this customer. It will show you all the statistics of your activities, starting from total orders, pending, total spent. Then we have the count of the items in cart. Where we have the cart, you can see when I hover on it, it is showing the items that we currently have inside the cart. So a person can be able to proceed with checkout, which we are going to use Stripe for the payment gateway. So apart from this, if you want to view all the orders of that customer, you can see the orders are displayed here for a particular customer, and each order have its own invoice where a user can be able to download the invoice of that particular order. Apart from that, there is cart, shop, then there is wish list and many other features. Now let's go to the other users. So this is seller dashboard. So sellers have their own dashboard where they can be able to upload new products with the price and everything. This is showing the brief overview of their activities and on their dashboard. So sellers have orders, analytics, and settings. At the bottom here, there is going to be logout. So everything is set off, and there are many other features inside this project. Now let's check the admin dashboard. So this is the admin dashboard. The admin dashboard can overview everything regarding the business. So orders, product, users, can activate user, can deactivate user, then all the recent orders by customers and many other things regarding the business running. Admin can be able to be overseeing everything like total product, total orders, and also total revenue. It can also be able to filter every day's revenue. There are many other things inside this project. All right, so now we can preview the Stripe checkout. Let's add another item. Now we have 4 items inside the cart. So go to view cart, then in the cart, this is what we get. So we can proceed with the checkout. All right, so now we can proceed with the checkout. So you can see here we can add the Stripe test card. All right, so I'll just click on pay. You can see pay successful. All right, so you can see now we are greeted with the thank you for your order. So that means the order is being placed. All right, so person can be able to access all the orders that. All right, so this was the order that we have just made now. That is the last one here. All right, so see you in the course. All right, in this lecture we are going to set off the development environment. So first of all, we have to check the requirement. So my computer already have all the requirements. I can run this command, Symfony check requirement. When I hit enter, so this is going to show me the current level. So you can see your system is ready to run Symfony project. So what are those requirements? So first of all, you are going to need XAMPP or LAMP. It depends on which one you works with. That is localhost. So just type XAMPP download on your browser. So it will give you options. So let me click on this. So we need to download the latest XAMPP. So the version of PHP you will need, because we are going to use Symfony 7. So the version of PHP you will need is going to be anything 8 and above. So that's the version of PHP you are going to use. So you can just download any of this XAMPP and install it, all right, based on your operating system. Then the IDE we are using is going to be Visual Studio Code. So you just type VS Code download. So you can select the first option. So this first option is now going to open the page for you, the download page. So this also have to do with your operating system. So you can just select best for your operating system and install it. So when you do that, like when you install XAMPP, so you are going to have PHP install and other things needed. So to check for the PHP, you can see PHP version. So this is the version of PHP I'm using, 8.2.29. all right. So when you install XAMPP, you try PHP version. So that's the next one. Then after that, you are going to use Composer. So come to your browser, type Symfony. The first option, symfony.com, you just click on it. So as you click on it, you can go to documentation. Just click system documentation, the first option. So you can see this is set of an installation. You click on it. So you can see you are going to need Composer, which is used to install PHP packages. So the advantage of it is we use it to install PHP packages. So to install it, you just click on install. So the current version of Composer you have is 2.9. Let me show you my own Composer. So if I type something like this, Composer version, so you can see I have Composer installed, all right, and the version of Composer I have is 2.9.3. all right. So the latest version now is 2.9.5. So for you to install it, the quick way is you can copy all these commands, then go to your command prompt or terminal, then execute it. So I'll just copy like this. Then next, on the terminal, you can now paste it. So the moment you paste it, that's going to automatically install Composer for you. Make sure you are connected to internet while you are trying to do that. That's one way. All right. So you can also download it manually. So you can select best for your operating system and just download it. All right. But these are all the previous versions of Composer. Just work with the latest version. So after you finish doing all this, so you are now good to go. Next thing to do is make sure you check the version after you download Composer-B. So that's going to show you the version. So after we do this, we are also going to, if you want to create new project using CLI, that is Symfony CLI, that is the one I'm using currently, you can install Symfony CLI. Else, you can just use the Composer, then use this command, Composer create project. For example, I can just copy this command. I'll come back here and paste it. So you can see Composer create project Symfony 8. This is the version. Then and above. All right. So my project directory. So this is going to be the name of the project. So you can do this in your XAMPP folder after you install the XAMPP. All right. So in my own case, this is LAMP, then htdocs. Inside the LAMP or XAMPP, then you go to htdocs. In the htdocs, you can now be able to open terminal from there. All right. Then you now paste that particular command. So this is now going to create the project. So you have to give the project a name here. That is if you are going to use Composer to create your project. Else, if you want to use Symfony CLI, so this is what we are going to do. You have to first of all install the Symfony CLI. So you just click on this. So depends on your operating system. If you are using Docker, Linux, Mac OS, Windows. So I'm using Linux. That is why it is giving me this directly. All right. So this is the one I can just copy and paste it in my command prompt. So this is going to install the Symfony CLI for me. All right. So it depends on your operating system. So after you do that, to create new Symfony project, you can just use this command: Symfony new, then web app, then project, or simple project, Symfony new project. All right. So like here, if I don't want to use this, so I don't use Symfony CLI, I will say Symfony new, then the name of the project may be e-commerce, like this. So I can have some automatically added packages if I want to make sure that this is web application. So I will use web app like this. So this hyphen should be 2, something like this. So this is now going to use the Symfony CLI to create the new project for me. So that is how you can use the Symfony CLI. If you are using Mac OS, this is the steps. You just copy, paste in your terminal. That's going to install it for you. If you are using Windows, so you just go to your command prompt, then you copy this and install it. So if you don't have the scope, you can just click on this. This is going to open the steps that you have to follow to install the scope on your operating system. All right. So these are all the steps, very easy steps. So you just copy, it depends on which one you are going to use. All right. So if you don't want to use Symfony CLI, so it is not by post, but some people use it. So you can now use the other command, which is this, with use of Composer. So Composer, then create, then skeleton Symfony, then you now add this off. All right. So when you do that, you have same project as you create using the Symfony CLI. So here we have come to the end of this lecture. See you in the next lecture. So now that we have set off all the requirements, next we are going to create new Symfony project, which is going to be our own project. So you have to go to the htdocs folder. So in the folder, we are now I'm going to use Symfony CLI. You can use Composer if that suits you. So I'm going to call this project as multi-bendo, like this. So I'll add web app. So make sure you are connected to internet. Hit enter. All right, the project is created successfully. So now let's change to the directory. So we use cd. So now inside this directory, we can now be able to open it using Visual Studio Code. So we are going to use code dot like this. So this is the project folder that is created for us. All right. So in this folder, you can see many folders are created and many files are also created. All right. We have asset folder. We are going to understand these folders one after the other. All right. So we have asset folder for all your assets, styling, and other things. Then we have source folder where you have your controllers, you have all your entities. You are also going to have all your repositories. Then all the things that can load, can render on browser, they are inside this template folder. So after that, we have our .env file, that is our environment variable file. So we are going to understand all this one after the other as time goes on. So now that we have created the project, since we are going to use Tailwind CSS, so we are now going to add Tailwind CSS to the project. So go to terminal, new terminal. So before we add Tailwind CSS, let's try to run this project first. So you use Symfony server, then start like this. So make sure your XAMPP is on. You can see I started all my XAMPP. So this project is loading, and it's loading on this port 127.0.0.1.8.0.0.2. So press Ctrl and click. So you can see your new project is loaded successfully. So now we are going to add Tailwind CSS to the project. So just go to new terminal. I'm going to use it here. Therefore, you can be able to see all the commands. So to add Tailwind CSS bundle on in your Symfony project, you use Composer. So you use this command to add the Tailwind CSS bundle. So hit enter. So this works with internet. So you have to give it short period of time to finish adding up the bundle to your project. All right. So this is added successfully. Next, we are going to initialize it. So you are going to use PHP bin console tailwind init. So this have added the file directory in your styles folder. So let's check it out. You go to assets, you go to style, app.css. Good for the CSS because we don't need it. We are going to be using Tailwind CSS throughout. So you can close this. So we have to compile the Tailwind CSS that we have just added. So just use this command. So this is going to download the binaries your project will need. Make sure you are connected to internet. All right, so now we have successfully set off the Tailwind CSS. It has finished compiling. So here we have come to the end of this lecture. See you in the next lecture. So now we are going to set off shadcn library, which is going to assist us in whatever things we are doing. So for the design aspect, so you just type Symfony UX, you hit enter. So you can see the first option, ux.symfony.com. To add up the shadcn, so you come to toolkit. You can see it here. So you have to install it. So to install it, you just copy this. This is Composer required the Symfony UX toolkit. So you just copy this. So you come back to your terminal. So this is what we are going to use. Hit enter. All right, so the toolkit have already been installed. So next thing to do is we can now come down here, scroll down, you can see shadcn UI. So that's what we are going to use. So you just click on it. So you can see, to get started, we need Tailwind CSS bundle. Since we are using Symfony Asset Mapper, so we need this. We have already installed the bundle. All right. Then next is, if you are not using the bundle, then you can now follow this particular link, which is going to guide you on how you can install Symfony using Tailwind CSS. We have already done that using the Tailwind bundle. So next thing to do is you can copy all this and add them off inside your styling folder. So you can just copy, then you can now, later on I will show you other ways. So you come to asset, style, after CSS, below this you can now paste it. So this is it. So you are done with this. Next we'll go back to the browser again. So now you are set to use shadcn. All right, so let's say we are going to use a button. So you just click on this. So we just want to test it to see how it works. All right, so you can see we have buttons here. So to use the button, this is the preview of it. Then to install it, you are now going to use this command. So you copy this command, you can just do this. All right, so the button is added. So this is where you are going to see it. You can see multi-vendor template component, then button.html.twig. So let's go to template. You can see component is generated, then the button is added here. All right, then next, to install suggested packages. So you need these packages, just copy it. So we use that same composer to install them. All right, so it asks you, do you want to execute this recipe? So you just say yes. All right. All right, so now shadcn is installed successfully. All right, in this lecture we are going to understand the file, which is environment variable. So I'm going to open it. So this environment variable, we are going to be using it to be storing some variables that we are going to be using as global variables. So some of the examples are, we have database connections. So when we make the connection, that is now going to be used throughout the application. Apart from that, we can be able to connect our mailer, where we can be able to be using email. So any kind of variable that we need the program to use it globally, so we can be able to set it in the environment variable. All right, so that is environment variable. In this lecture, we are going to make connection to the database. So for we to do that, we have to use environment variable. So in this, by default, the program is connected to PostgreSQL. So we are not going to use PostgreSQL. We have to comment it. We are going to use MySQL. So the second item, we have to uncomment it. So this is the MySQL. Here we have to add the user. So since we are developing in localhost, we are going to use root because we are using XAMPP. Then I don't have password, so I need to make this empty. So I have to remove this. So had it been you have database, you have password, so this is where we are going to add the password. Then here we are going to mention the database name. So you can double click here. So we can call it multi-vendor market. So you can call it any name actually. So now that you have done this, now you have set off the configuration. Next things to do is to have this database created in our local host. So to do that, we are now going to open terminal. So make sure your XAMPP is switched on. You can see mine is switched on and is also running perfectly. So I'm now going to execute a command to create the database. So you are going to use this command. So this is going to create the database that we just configured in environment variable. So I'm going to hit enter. So you can see database created with this name. So how can we be able to see the database? So this is the address, localhost php my admin. So in this, you can now check the name. I have many databases here. So I'm going to look for multi-vendor. You can see the database is open here. So the database is created successfully. This is it here, multi-vendor market. So now we have set up the database. Here we have come to the end of this lecture. So now we are going to create the next entity. This is going to be customer profile entity. So we are going to repeat same command, but this time around we can call it customer profile. So the first field is going to be full name. It's going to be string. Length we can leave it to be 2 by 5. No level, we can say no. So the next field we are going to have is going to be phone. That is the customer phone number. So this can also be string. So for now, the last item is going to be address of that particular customer. So this can be text. These are the fields we need for the customer profile. So we'll come back to here. You can see what we have. All the informations are added, and we also have the getters and setters. So we are done with the customer profile. So now we are going to create other entity. So the first field is going to be created at. That is when the order is created. Then after that, we are going to have status. So this is going to be string also. So status order can be pending. It can be processing, shipping, shipped, delivered, or cancelled. All right. Then after that, we are also going to have the next field, which is going to be the total. That is the total amount to be paid for that particular order after the calculation. So we are going to have total. total is going to be plot. It will have some decimal point. So after that, we're also going to have the payment intent ID. That is the payment gateway. That is payment intent identifier. All right. So we're going to use Stripe for that. So this is going to be string. So after that, we're also going to check the payment status. So the current payment status from the gateway, all right, that is from the Stripe, if it is successful or not. So this is going to be string. So these are the fields we need for this. So we still need to make some little changes to it. So for the customer, it's going to be, for the created ad is going to be null, and status by default is going to be pending. So we have to do it this way, pending. Then for the total is float, so by default it's going to be 0.0. Then for the payment ID is going to be null by default. Payment status by default we are going to use unpaid. All right, so these are the simple changes that we need to do now. So that's all for the other entity. So here we have come to the end of this lecture. So now we are going to create the entity for the other items. So first we have to know the quantity of this product in the order. All right, so we are going to use quantity. Then after that, we need to know the price of this particular item. That is the unit price of the product. So we are going to use price. Price is going to be integer. So these are the only things we need for now. Just hit enter. All right, so now we are through with the other items entity. So here we have come to the end of this lecture. So now we are going to create the next entity. This entity is going to be product entity. So the first field is name of the product. Then we are going to have description. We are going to have price. So price is going to be integer. Then we are going to have image of the product. So we are going to store the image name. So this is going to be string. Then after that, we are going to have the date created. So we are going to use created at. So these are the fields we need for now. So the next entity is going to be seller profile. So the first field we are going to get is store name. So this is going to be string. Next, we are going to get is verified. That is, if the seller is verified or not. So seller can be verified, can be unverified. So this is going to be Boolean. Data type. So the next field we are going to use is going to be store description. Store description should be text, because it can be, the length of it can be much than string. So you just go with the default. Then lastly, for now, we are going to add another field which is created at, that is when the seller account is created. So this is date time immutable. All right, so just hit enter. These are the fields we need for the seller. All right, so now we are going to create user entity. So to do that, we are going to use this command. Make user. So hit enter. So it is asking you for the name of the class. So we are going to use user. Then do you want to store data in the database via Doctrine? So you can go with yes. Enter the name that will be the unique display name. All right. So here we are going for the email. So next it asks of the password. So we can go with yes. So now we have user created successfully for us. So now let's go to source. So this, you can see we have entity, then the user entity is created. All right, so here you can see we have ID, that's the ID of the user. Then we have email, so this is the unique email of the user. All right, so we have column, then the length of it is 180. So user, the email is null by default. Then after that, we're also going to have role. So we have to make some little changes to this. So this is going to be storing roles of the users. Then after that, we have password. So this is going to be storing the password, the plain password. Okay. So after this, we are now going to add some few more things in this class. Therefore, we can complete the user entity. So to do that, I'm going to clear this. So I will repeat this same command, but this time around I will say make entity user. So this is going to tell you that there is already an entity with that name user. So if you want to add another field, then you can be able to add. You can be able to say account activation. So person can be active or not active. So we're going to use this field, which is active. So this is going to be Boolean by default. Then this is going to be, if you want, you can leave it either null or not null. So we just want it to be this. So now we have this field added. Next thing is we are going to add another one. So this is going to be created at like this. So this date time immutable. So you leave it like this. So you just go with the default. All right, so for now, these are the additions we need. So let's supervise the user entity again to confirm the changes we have made. So we have added the is active. So if you like, we can leave it to be true by default because it's boolean. Then we also have date time. So it should not be null. So let's just, we can leave it as null also. That is by default. All right. That is user entity created successfully. Here we have come to the end of this lecture. All right. So now we are going to create the relationship, relate the user to customer profile. We're also going to relate the user to seller profile. So we need to modify the user entity. So the field that we are going to add in the user entity is going to be customer profile. So this is going to be a relation. So we are going to specify which entity is going to be related to. So this is going to be related to customer profile. So we need to mention the relationship type. So this is going to be one-to-one. All right. So one-to-one, that means each customer profile have one user account. So you just say yes. So here you can say yes also. Or let's go with no. Later on we can adjust. So you just hit enter to complete this. So now let's visit the user entity. So from the top, you can see we have the customer profile added. All right. Now when we come down also, we have the get customer profile and also set customer profile. So for this get customer profile, let's try to make little changes here. We're going to use all right. So here, if customer profile, that's the customer profile get user. That means this is the user. All right. So you should now set the. It is just trying to make sure that the profile belong to the user and whatever things is going to be done on that profile, it is linked to this particular user. So here we have two methods that need to be created in the customer profile entity. So now let's check the customer profile entity. So we need to now make sure that the linking is done successfully on the customer profile. So to do that, we'll just come up here. So you can now say private user, then you say user. So I'll show you how you can do this automatically later on. All right. So now we have the user. So after this, at the top here, we are now going to mention this with some little modification. So this is going to be ORM, but it's not just column, it's join column. All right, like this. Then is nullable also. So the nullable is going to be true. That means it can be null. Okay. Or rather, we can just do it this way. Like this. Okay. So instead of that. So now let's just change this to relationship. So one to one. They're related to, so use inverse. So this is going to be inverse by this customer profile. All right, that's the field we created at the top here, like this. So that's all we need on this. All right. So after this, now we are going to use getters and setters. So let's add the getters and setters at the bottom. So this is going to return user. Next, we are going to use setters. Relationship between customer profile and user is set up successfully. All right. So here we have come to the end of this lecture. In this lecture, we are going to set up relationship between user and seller profile. So we'll now create the field. So here we have some little changes to make. So on line 18, customer profile, let's go there. Okay, so user, it is said null, so let's just remove this. Okay, so I'll clear this. All right, so now let's continue with the seller profile relationship. So now the field that we are going to add in this user entity is called seller profile. So this is going to be relation. So we're going to use one-to-one relation. So this is going to go, we are going to put yes. Then here, instead, we are going to create the getters and setters automatically. So we are going to use yes this time around. So in the seller account, in the seller profile, we are going to call it user. So now this has have modified both this user entity and also the seller entity. So we are going to confirm that. So this is user entity. Here we have the seller. All right. There's it here. Then same things, we are going to have the getters and also setters for the seller. All right, so let's check it out. So now let's check the seller profile. All right, so this is it here. We have the user and the seller is connected to it. And when you come down, we have the getters and also have the seller. I will also have the setters for the user. All right, so that's same things that we did here also. So now let's continue with this. So just make some little changes to this. All right, that is the setter function. All right, so this is set successfully. So now we have made the relationship, we have created the relationship between the user and seller. So here we have come to the end of this lecture. See you. Now we are going to create relationship between the user and order. So we are going to modify the order entity. So we are going to call it customer. That means the person that is ordering the product. So this is going to be relation. So related to user account. So each order relate to one user. So we are going to use many to one. So one user can have many orders. So you go with yes. You go with yes also. Then the name in the user account is, you can give it any name, but I will prefer we give it orders. So we just hit enter. So now let's check the user account. So you can see user, there is orders, but it comes as collection because we can have many orders. All right, then when you go to the order entity also, so you can see you have customer and the relationship is many to one. All right, here we have come to the end of this lecture. So now we are going to create relationship between order item and order. So to do that, we are going to modify the order item entity. So the field name is going to be order. So here order is a reserved name. So we can use the orders. Later on, we can now rename it. So we can say orders like this. So this is going to be relation and is going to be related to order. So one order item, we can have many order items in one order. So we are going to use many to one. So you go with yes, yes. Then here is going to be other items. So you just hit enter. So now let's check the other entity. We'll start with the other item entity. So you can see we have the relationship, which is many to one and is embossed by other items. Then this is it. So let's now revisit the order again. So this is it. We have the collection as orders, other items, then it's marked by orders. So let's change this to order like this. All right. So can come down to other item. So everything is set up here. Likewise, when you go to the order item for the get orders, here it should be order, not orders. So you come down and rename them also to order. We can still use the orders, but order is just like, since we are dealing with one order, so we are going to do it this way. All right, so here we have come to the end of this lecture. So in this lecture, we are going to create relationship between the order item and product, because when you are ordering any item, so that item must be a product. So let's modify the order item again. So this time around, we are going to create a product. That means to link it with the item. So this is going to be many. So we are going to use many to one. So just go with yes. Then the name field in the product is also going to be other items. That is the embossed by. So you just hit enter. So now let's check the product entity. You can see the relationship is created. So this is your collection. Then we have other items. Then everything is set up successfully. Likewise for the other items entity. Scroll up. You can see we have it here. So products, then embossed by other items, and the relationship is many to one. All right. So here we have come to the end of the relationship. See you in the next lecture. All right. So now we are going to create the migration. So this is going to create migration file for all these entities. We are going to run this command. Migration file is created successfully. You can come to this folder. This is the migration file. We are now going to migrate it, but before then, let's check the migration file. You can see it is going to create all the tables for us together with the relationships. Now we are going to run this command to migrate. So I'm going to copy it, then paste it. Next thing, we are going to hit enter. So this is the command php bin console doctrine migrations migrate. It is asking for confirmation of this action. Yes is the default. Hit enter. So now it is migrating. In few seconds, it is going to be done. this is done successfully. We can confirm that by going to the database, which was empty before. We have to refresh the database. Now the tables are created successfully. This is users table. We have seller profile and all the other tables that we set up the entities for are all created. Here we have come to the end of this lecture. See you in the next lecture. In this lecture, we are going to understand how to create pages in Symfony. So while we are creating the pages, we can now be able to understand how controller work and also how we can utilize functions to render the pages. So first, before we create the pages, we need to create a controller. So to create a controller, you are going to use this command. So the name of the controller, you have to specify it. So I'm going to use home controller. When it shows this, select no by default. So now this action produces two files. The first file is home controller, then the next file is indexed. So this is going to be what we can see on the browser. So we are going to check on the home controller. So click on source, then you go to controller folder. In the controller folder, there is home controller created. So this is what is generated, and it is linked up with the other file that was created. Where we can locate that, you have to go to template, home, then index.html.twig. Now we have one controller and also one page that we can render on the browser. Before we test this out, we can now be able to create another controller and view more pages. So to do that, I will repeat same command. We are going to give it a name of registration controller. So that is for the registrations. So now we have same things. Registration controller is created, and we also have in the template folder, we have registration, then we have index, which is generated for us. So now that we have this, we are going to make a modification. So in the registration, since we are going to have two different types of users that can register, we are going to do it in such a way that seller have his own registration form and registration page. Customer also have his own registration page, and they are all going to be using user entity. So now we can rename this registration folder to auth. So inside this auth, we can now rename this file. We can rename it to register customer. The same file, we can also save it as register seller. Now we have two pages. Here we have come to the end of this lecture. See you in the next lecture. In this lecture, we are going to understand how routing works. We can close these two files. So we are going to open this home controller. So this is how route work. Anytime you want to render a page that you created on the browser, we need a function. So we have the index function by default, and at the end you specify the routing. So this is the route, then this is the route name. So that means when we go to our browser, we type /home, is going to render this page, which is in our template, the generated page here. We are going to test it out. Here we are going to write the name /home. You can see it have rendered the page for us. All right. So now we want this home page to be the main page of this particular website. Therefore, person don't need to type /home before the page renders. We need to change the route. So you come back to home controller. You have to remove this /home. Now, when you refresh the browser, it's going to load that particular page to be the home page. So that is how route works. Here we have come to the end of this lecture. In this lecture, we are going to understand how forms work in Symfony. To create form, we are going to use this command. Now you need to give the form a name. So since we have two types of registration pages, customer and seller, so we are going to create two forms. We are going to start with the customer. So we are going to give this form a name, customer registration type. You can give it any name. So you just hit enter. So this is asking you to specify the entity that this form is going to work with. In our own case, we are going to select customer profile, though we are going to edit the form later on. We can repeat this same action for the seller registration type. This time around, we'll select seller profile. So these forms are created. Where you can find the forms, you can come to source, then you can see form folder. Inside we have this, and we also have this particular one. So the two forms are created successfully. Now we are going to customize the forms. Therefore, we can work with them the way we want and also add some features to it. So we'll start with the customer registration type. In this, we need the full name. So we need to add some few information. You add comma, and we now specify that this is a text type. Then inside of it, look at what I imported. This is text type, so you need to import this at the top. All right. Now we are going to map it. after that, we are going to constraint it also. So this is going to be validation. So I'm going to say assert then, not blank. So this assert, this is how you are going to import it. So it is just like an alias name. So this should be assert like this. This should be constraint. Alright, so this is where the error is. This should be constraint, then assert. So now we are trying to make the validation. The validation is done for the full name. Next, we are going to check for password also. So we need to add same for password. So this time around, I can copy this and paste it below here. That's for the password. The space type is going to be password type. So mapped is going to be false. Then it's not going to be blank. Then again, we can mention the length of it. So we can say new. So minimum is going to be 6. All right, so that's for password. So the last one that we're going to add is going to be email. So I can copy this and paste it below. After the email, so we don't need any other thing again. Later on in the program, then person can be able to update them. So this semicolon should be added here. So the next one is going to be email. So the type of it, you use email type. So you don't need to map email. Then the validation is going to be email like this. So that's what we need for the customer registration. All right, so here we have come to the end of this lecture. Now we are going to customize the seller registration form as we did for the customer. To do that, we can easily save the time since we already understood the way we do this. So I'm going to copy all this. We can paste it here. So next thing to do is the customer. This is going to be store name. Customer is going to have email also. Then after that, we are going to have password. So we can import this. Likewise, same things we did for the validation. All right, so now we are able to customize the seller registration form. Now we are going to implement the registration. So in the registration controller, we need to get rid of this method. So here we are going to implement customer registration and seller registration. We are going to start with the customer. So we need to create a function. Then we need to create the next function, which is going to be for seller. Next, we are going to create the routes. So these two different routes, we are going to bind them with the individual pages. So we need to confirm the name of the page. In auth, we have register customer. So that's what we need here. So let's customize this page. Let me just type something like this: customer, seller. All right. So we can now test this route. So I'll copy this. You can see register customer is there. I also have register seller page. So all the pages are created successfully. Here we have come to the end of this lecture. See you in the next. Now we are going to implement customer registration function. That means all the codes that we need. So first of all, here we are going to import some packages. So we are going to use request because we are going to use form. So this is for the incoming HTTP request. So this is the one that you are going to use. So this is going to have a variable called request. After this, we are going to add Doctrine Entity Manager. So this is Entity Manager Interface. So this is the one that you are going to import, this particular one. And after that, we are also going to have password hasher services. Therefore, when a customer type in password in plain text, then it's going to hash it off before sending to database. So we are going to use user so we can call it hasher like this. All right. So this is what you are going to import this. All right. All right. So now we are done with this. Next, we are going to create a new user entity. So to do that, come down here. So create a variable. We call it user, which is equals to new user. So we need to import the user entity. Put semicolon at the end. So after this, we are going to build the customer registration form and bind it to the user entity. So to do that, we'll create a variable called form. So the form we are going to create, we need to call the name, which is going to be customer registration type. That is the form we created. Then we are now going to bind it with the user. Make sure you put semicolon at the end. After this, we are now going to implement the processes for form submission. That is if the request is post. So we are going to use form. So whatever request that is sent from the HTTP. So now let's check the submission. So if form is submitted, and the form is valid, that is there is no any validation error. So we are going to look for the existing user with the same email. So this is where we use Entity Manager Interface. So this where we are going to use span one by. So we have to find the one by email. Remember, get email is a function. So after that, we open curly brace and close it. All right. So after we do this, next we are going to add an error message to session. That is to show if the email already exists. So it will now show the user that this email already exists. You don't need to register with it again. The type of the flash is going to be error. Then the message, we can use any statement, but let's just use this: email already exists. After that, then we can now redirect back to the customer registration form. So it will now redirect user to the customer registration form. The route is this route: register customer. So that is if we have email. All right. So next, if there is no email, then we can now set role for that particular customer. So we do it like this. Role customer. All right. So now we have assigned this role customer by default. Next, we are going to hash the password from the form and save it to the user. So to do that, we are going to So this is going to hash the password that we submitted from the form. After this, we can now create a new customer profile. All right. So we can create a variable. We'll call it profile. We need to import the entity. Next, we can connect the profile to the user. So now we are connecting the two entities. So you can say set full name. So it will get the full name we are submitting from the form. All right. So next, we are going to mark the user entity to be saved in the database. So we use entity manager. After this, we are going to mark the customer profile entity to be saved also. So we are now saving the information for the user and also for the customer profile. So the last part of this is we are going to execute the SQL queries and save everything to the database. So we are going to use Entity Manager. We use Plush. After this, we can now add a success splash message for the user. The type of it is going to be success. Then the message is going to be so after this, we can redirect to any page. So let's redirect to login, even though we did not create the route yet. So we can comment it out. So we are going to redirect to route. The route is going to be login. So we can just leave it the way it is. Later on, when we create it, then we don't need to add it up again. So this is what we need to do to implement the registration for the customer. Next thing to do is to now work on the form that is in this particular page. Currently, we have some default information, so we are now going to implement the form here. Here we have come to the end of this lecture. Same thing we did for the customer function, we are also going to repeat it for the seller. So to make it easy, I'm going to copy this. We can now paste it here. So this functionality also, we'll copy it, everything from here. We can paste it here. So we need to make some changes. So this is the register seller. So in here we need the user, then we also need to create the form. So this form is supposed to be seller registration type. Okay, so you need to import the form at the top. This is it here, all right? Same way we did for the customer. So after we do that, we can check the submission. That is same things we need. So this is going to be register seller. If there is any problem, then this is going to be role seller. Like this, okay? So now for the profile, we are going to get the seller profile entity. So this is not going to be set full name. This is going to be set store name. So this is going to be form.get store name. So before this, we're supposed to have the user. So instead of profile, let's create another variable different. We can say seller like this, right? So now we are going to link the profile to user. Then this set seller, that's what we are going to use here also. All right. And after we do this, we are now going to set the seller as unverified. So set verified is going to be false. So we can persist the user. And here we can also persist the seller. So after everything, then we now add the flash. So this is going to be registration successful. Or we can change this to something like seller registered. So seller will not just log in, it will await verification. It will now redirect to login. Then this is going to be auth register seller. All right, that is our page here. So now we link this to the user. So we need supposed to do same for the customer. So this is where we are going to do that. So we can say profile set user, the user like this. All right, so now we connect the profile to the user. So here we have come to the end of this lecture. Now we are going to complete with the registration process, where we are going to add the forms into the template. So we are going to start with the registration for the customer. So in here, we can change the title. So this is how it works when you come to the page. All right, so when you come across this, let's go back to the form. So here, you can just remove everything from here. Let's refresh it. All right, you can see the title have changed. So now we are going to add the content of the form. So I'm going to need a div. So add some Tailwind CSS to it. So I'm going to paste it. So we need it to be width full, maximum width MD. Then we have background white and all the remaining things for the Tailwind CSS. Next, we are going to need the title of the form. So I'm going to also add it up here. So you can just use the styling based on how you want it to be, but this is going to be create customer account. That's the title of the form. So in there, you can see in the registration, that is in the controller, we passed some flash message. That is if we have any error. All right. So we have to now put that into consideration in the form. So we are going to use so if there's any message that is error, so let's end it 4. So the message we are going to display is going to be, we'll now add a div. All right, so you can give it any class. It's just a Tailwind CSS. So I'm going to add one class, therefore you can add it up. All right, so it's going to show us the message if there's any error. Okay, maybe validation, as we mentioned in the controller. So if there is none, we're now going to render the form. So when you have form start, you are now going to have form end. So I'll copy this and paste it below. Next, we are going to get a div to arrange the inputs. So this div, we are going to have some classes. So in here, we are going to start with the form, with the email. So this is what we do. So you are going to call it form row. So this is going to be form.email. Give comma. Then we can now add some attribute. Attribute, that is some styling. So this is Tailwind CSS style. We have class. All right. So this is what we need. So that is for the email. So we're going to repeat this same process for password and full name. So this is going to be form password. Then the last one is going to be form full name. All right. So after the div, we need a button. Therefore, we can submit the button. So the button we are going to use, I'm going to refresh the page. Therefore, you understand something. You can see here we have variable form does not exist in the auth. So we need to pass it from the controller. So let's go to the controller. That's registration controller. Here we need to pass the variable. We write form. So now let's try to refresh the page. Yes, you can see we have all the styling. We have all the forms information. All right. So while we are seeing this, the Tailwind CSS is not fully utilized here, so we are going to work on that. But before then, let's complete the form. Here we are going to add the button. So to add the button, we are going to use shadcn. Therefore, this is the first time we are going to use shadcn. So let's open the page. To install shadcn, so you come down, open shadcn. We need button, so you just click on it. So this is how you are going to install the button. So you copy this command, bin console ux install button kit shadcn. All right, then this is the usage of the button. So now let's install it first. You can see it is installed successfully. If you minimize this, you come to template, you can see component, then button is installed. Then we need this recipe, so let's copy it and paste it also. All right, so this is added successfully. Now we can use this button, that is the form that we just added now. So this is how we are going to use it. It is also stated here. You can see you can copy this, then you can now utilize it in here. So let's paste it here like this. But we need to change our own to, we can add some little more styling to it. So this is going to be register. So we're now using it as a component, so it's reusable. All right, so let's come back to this, refresh. You can see the button is here, register. So we can add some styling to it. That is normal Tailwind CSS style. All right, so now let me refresh this. All right, so you can see the Tailwind CSS is not building. So now we have to make that work. So there is a file that we need to create in the root directory here. So this is going to help us to compile any changes we made in the Tailwind CSS. Okay, so in the root directory, let's create a file. So you can call this file symfony.local.yaml like this. So in here, we'll create workers. So anytime we run this program, so it's going to execute these commands. So anything for Tailwind CSS, this is what we want the CMD to do for us. So first we have Symfony. Then it will rebuild the Tailwind CSS. Next, you add watch, something like this. So it will be watching any changes and rebuilding it immediately. So this is exactly how you are going to add it off. So now I'm going to stop the program from running and run it again. So you press Ctrl+C to terminate the project. Now we run it again. So you can see Tailwind is built successfully. Everything is done. So now let's go to the page again. We refresh it. Yes, you can see the form is arranged well and the Tailwind CSS and shadcn are working perfectly. All right. So now what we will do is we can go to the base template. That is this base template. That's the template that is containing all the other templates. So we need to add some styling. So you come to this. All right, so let's now put the content of that particular page at the center. Do that. I'll minimize this, then I'll create another div. So this is the second div I created. I'm going to close the div here also. So this is what you need here. All right. So after this, now let's refresh the page. You can see it is at the center. All right. So now we have created the form. Let's try to test it out. This is customer. So I'll put the email. So you can say customer at example.com. Then password, we can put customer123. And the full name of that particular customer, we can just call it customer1. Then click on register. All right, so now it says created at cannot be null. So we need to make changes in the user entity. So you come to the user entity. We have created at, so let's remove it from null. It should not be null. Then after that, we are now going to work on this constructor. So the constructor, we need to add some few information for that. So you can see this. All right, so after we do this, now let's go back to the page again. Reload this. So password, we are going to use customer1234. All right, so next it says this phone cannot be null. So we don't want customer to add phone number. We want customer to always add the phone number while trying to check out. So we need to also make it nullable. So let's go to the customer profile. This is phone. So here we need to specify that it can be nullable. So you come down here. So nullable, you are going to put something like this, true. All right. So now we have turned this to nullable. All right. So can repeat same for the address also. All right. So now let's refresh this. So here we have attribute column must not be repeated. So now we have, so anytime you come across this error, so all you just need to do is you don't need to repeat the nullable. So here we have already length. So you can now copy this the way it is. You now put comma and paste it here. So you can now remove this. Likewise here also, copy this, put comma, paste it. Therefore, we can now remove this. So that's it. Now, after we make these changes, next thing to do is we have to make sure that we update the schema. So to update schema, this is the command you are going to use. So this is going to affect all the changes you made to the database. So now let's refresh this. All right, so now the session is done successfully. It reached a stage where we mention login and we do not create the route yet for the login. So you can remember here, we said that when it is done successfully, so we should now try to log in. So we do not create this route, but we can confirm the registration in the database. So let's go to database. We can refresh the database. You can see the first table for user. We have the first table. This is it. All right, now we can see we have the email also. Then when you go to the customer profile, you can see we have the name of the customer, but there is no phone number and address yet. So here we have come to the end of this lecture. See you in the next lecture. All right, so now we are going to finalize the registration of the seller as we did for the customer. So same things we have for the customer, that is what we are going to have for the seller. So I'm going to explain it. This is seller register.html.twig. So this is register seller. Then we have the normal Tailwind CSS. Then we have register as seller. And after this is for the error message if there is any error. Then we have the start of the form. Then we have the end of the form. So for the seller, we need email, we need password, then we also need store name. Then we are going to need a button. So this is a normal button. we can also use that same button we used for the customer. That is this button. We can also use it. Then we can use the Tailwind CSS as I did here. So we have two options. Then we close the form. Then here we added some text that is already have an account. So we don't need to add this yet. We can add it later on. So this is same as we did for the customer. The next thing to do is let's visit the entity also. Therefore, we can make some changes. So it is for the user. We don't have any problem with the user. Then the seller, we do not change anything here as well. So now let's try to test the seller also. So go to the browser. Let's refresh the page. So we are going to, so let's check the form of the seller. That is the form type. Same things we did for the customer. So we don't need this last part. Let's just remove it from there. All right, after that, then this form, we do not pass it. So we also need to do that. All right, so now we have the form. So we'll keep on testing until when we make sure that everything works perfectly. So this is the seller form. All right, so that same styling we do, we can also add it up here. Copy this. So now it will be at the center of the screen. Yes. So now let's create this. We can say seller at example.com. The store name, we can say seller number 1. Okay. So click on register. All right. So it says store description cannot be null. So we can now implement same changes we made earlier. So go to user account. In the seller profile, we are now going to put comma here. We can put no level true like this. Okay. So when you make these changes, next things to do is you are going to make sure that you update the schema as I did recently, because it is going to affect the table. So let's refresh it. So created at also cannot be null. So that's how you come across error and fix it. So verified is going to be false. Then for the description, we already updated it. Then for the created at, we can also, let's remove it from here. So same things we did for the created at, we can now come to the constructor. We don't have any constructor yet, so we can create another constructor. So under this, let's create a constructor for that. All right, so that's the changes we need. Let's update the schema. Yes, so the registration is done successfully because we don't have the route called login. So that's why we're having this. But we can confirm from the database. So let's go to the user. You can see we have the second user created with the role of role seller. All right. Then after that, we have, let's check the seller profile. Yes, we have one, and that seller is not verified. And this is the name of the seller. Created at, that's the timestamp of now. So the session is done successfully. Here we have come to the end of this lecture. See you in the next lecture. In this lecture, we are going to set up the login page. So we have to start by creating login controller. Next, we are going to the login controller. Now we have /login active. We can preview this. This is the template which we are going to work with. We are going to design the login form in this particular page. Before we do that, let's try to remove all this default code. Next, we are going to work on the controller. This default function, we are going to rename it to login. In here, we are going to make some changes. Let's remove this. The first thing that we are going to add is going to be last name. So this is a default feature. The last name is going to be the email or username that we are going to try and log in with. Before we give it the content, we are going to add some parameters in this function. This, we can call it auth util. This is how you are going to import it. Symfony component security HTTPS. All right, then we have this. That is what we are going to import. Now we are going to use this variable. Inside, there is a method called getLastUsername. So this have to go with comma at the end. Now we are going to pass another variable. So this is what we are going to write. We are going to pass another variable, which is for error. So this is going to check authentication error, that is if login failed. The method we are going to use is getLat authentication error. This enough is okay for you for the login to function perfectly. We are going to add logout features. We have to start with the route. Next, we'll create a function. The function will not return anything. We have to leave it to be empty. The route is going to be logout. This method is intentionally blank. Symfony Security system automatically handles logout. The moment you call this function, then it's going to log out the session. That is all we need for the login controller. Here we have come to the end of this lecture. To design the login form, we have to create a div. After this, we are going to have a header. All these divs have Tailwind CSS class. I'm going to add it up here. Likewise, the header. I will try to preview the changes. Now you can see it says no route found, which is /login. So we have to check it out. We are going to rename the name to login like this. Now you can see we have the page with the header. You can remember we did something different when we are doing the registration. This div, we can copy it and paste it inside. That means to wrap off this particular div. I'm going to do something like this. I'll remove this first. All right. Now we'll continue from where we stopped. We are going to check this error. You can see we also passed error variable. So we are going to check it. If it is there, then we have to display. That means if there is any error. We are going to use if. So we'll call the variable error. We need to mention the error. So we say error dot message key. Or so we are going to translate it. We can wrap this error in a div, therefore it will have good look. So I have this Tailwind CSS background red, text red, then background red 100. That means like little bit red but white. All right. Then we can now put the closing div here. Now we are done with this. Next, we are going to design the form. In this, we are not using Symfony form. Now you can be able to learn how to use many forms. Because we are posting data, we are going to use method post. In here, we are going to start with a div. This is for the input. Inside this div, we are now going to have level and input. So we are going to use shadcn component. That means we have to install the component. So we are going to use level component and input component. We'll copy this and install it. That is level. We'll also copy the next one. If it shows this, you can install it. That is if you do not install it before. After this, we are going to also get input. We already have input component, but we can check that. To confirm that, we are going to the template component. We only have button and level. We need to install the input. To do that, we also go to this. We'll copy this. The input is installed. Anytime it shows something like this, you can just endure, try to reinstall it to make sure that you do not miss any recipe. We are done with this. Now we can continue with the input. The first input we are going to use is going to be level. So say twig level for input. So we are going to use it for email. On these changes that we have just made, we will try to run it. This is the email displaying here as level. After this, we are now going to have another component. So I'll just copy this. The next one is going to be input. So input type email. Then this also have name, which is going to be email. So this is self-closing. We'll close it like this. All right, so we have this. We need to make some adjustment to this. So what we are going to do is we are going to add of this style. Okay, that is under this particular one. We can add off. Then after that, if you like this background is not necessary, you can remove it. So this is now going to make it to be center, and this is going to deal with all the other remaining styling. This is pure Tailwind CSS. So we have div like this. Now we can refresh it and get the changes. You can see we have the email input. We are going to repeat same for password. I'll copy this. All right, so after copying it, next we have to just make some changes. This is going to be for password. The input type is going to be password. Likewise, the name and the ID. We can refresh to see the changes. Next, we are going to add input under this, but this is going to be hidden input. This is going to be holding the token for the authentication. Now, after this, we are going to add button. So the button is also going to be shadcn component. We need to install it, but you can remember that we installed button before. Component, we have button. So when you want to install it, you just select it. This is what you are going to execute. Just copy this. You can paste it here. So you can see we already have it. If I want to override it, I'll just override it. Otherwise, I don't need to do anything. So when you do that, if it asks of this, you can also add it up. That is this installation. So I've already added it. Next, we'll now add it up inside the form. So we are going to use tweak. The variant of the button, we are going to use outline. We already used button before. This is the button. So we have to just add some styling to the button as we did earlier. Alright, so now we have login form created successfully. Next thing to do, we can try to log in. We have users. One user is seller, then the other one is customer. I'm going to copy the email from here, but this is the role. So if I want to test it, I'll now just paste the email here. All right. But before we do this, we have to work on the roles. So how do we create the roles and also redirect the roles according to the dashboard? To do that, you come to config, you come to packages. In here, we have security.yml. So we are going to configure this security.yml later on. Here we have come to the end of this lecture. See you in the next lecture. In this lecture, we are going to try to understand this file, which is security.yml. So the first part here, that is the password hasher. So it's going to hash the password that we provided from the form. Then after that, we are now going to have user provider. So this is the user provider here. So we have to, this is how it is. So we have to leave it the way it is. So user provider tells Symfony how to load users. So in this case, users are loaded from the database using Doctrine entity provider. All right. So you can see we are using user entity. So this is the whole meaning of this particular providers. Then after that, we have the property, which is email. So Symfony will look up users by their email. So Symfony is going to check users by their email. After that, then we have firewall. So these firewalls define authentication logic for different parts. All right, for different part of your application. So the important part of it is the first firewall that matches a request is used. So we need to leave this default the way it is. That is for dev tools. Then here we have main provider. Then after this, we are now going to add form login authentication. So this is going to enable form-based authentication. So to do that, here you come down. Let's remove this. So here we are going to add something like this, form login. because we are going to be logging using form. So we are going to have login path. So this is going to be the route name or path to display the login form. So in our own case, we are using login. The next, check path. So this check path is the route that processes the login submission. So it is normally used to be same as the login path. Next, we have username parameter, which is going to be email. So name of input field for username. All right. So our own is email. We have already created it in our login page. After that, we also add the password parameter. The name of the field is also password. Next, we are going to have default. Default target path, that is where user is redirected after successful login. So our own is going to be dashboard, even though we did not create this path, but we are going to create it. After this, we are now going to configure logout. So to do that, it have to be here. We are going to add it like this. So the path of logout is going to be logout. When you type this, you give space like this. All right. Then the target is going to be login. So after logout, person, the route that is going to be the target is going to be login route. Next, we are now going to work on access control. So this is the access control. All you just need to do is decomment this, that is remove the comment. The first route we are going to work with is login. So the role is going to be public access, so everyone can access it. So it is going to allow even users that are not logged in to have access to login form. Likewise, register. So this is also public access. After this, we are also going to have another route. I'm going to copy this exactly the way it is. This is dashboard. So we're going to allow role user to access the dashboard. So that is all about this. Here we have come to the end of this lecture. All right, in this lecture, we are going to set up the dashboard. You can remember in this file, we mentioned the target route after login is going to be dashboard. So we don't have dashboard yet. We are going to create a controller, which is going to be for the general dashboard. Later on, we can extend by creating for the different users, that is admin, customer, and seller. So we are going to start with the default dashboard. So now that we have the dashboard controller created, now you can see we have dashboard, then the name is also going to be dashboard. So we are not going to use any template, so we can just remove this. What we are going to use is going to be same function. If I can bring that back, we can get rid of this. So the function can go with this same name, which is index. Then after that, when person log in, since we are not going to render any page, we are going to use a function, this particular function, to redirect the user based on user's access control. That is based on the user's role. All right. So we are going to do that. We are going to deploy the usage of botters to help us on that also. So we are going to use conditional statement. If the role is user, if the role is admin, then it is going to redirect to this role. That means we are going to have two more remaining conditions. So the other one we don't need to use if, because that's the last condition. So if the two conditions are not met, then so this is going to be executed. This role is seller, and we are going to have seller dashboard. This role is going to be customer dashboard. That is all we need on this. After this, next, since we don't have these roles created yet, we have to create them. So we need different controllers for that. We are going to create another dashboard controller, but inside admin folder. So we have to create another folder called admin, like this. So now when you come to source controller, you can see we have new folder called admin. Then inside we have dashboard controller. So you just need to remove this. Same name we have here, which is admin dashboard. That's what we are going to have here also. We are going to repeat same process for customer and seller. The next one is going to be customer. Here we have to make some changes. When you create for the admin, this is going to be /controller, then /admin. Likewise for the seller, make sure that you add it up here. That's the seller directory. So now we can work for the customer. The customer dashboard controller is created. We'll remove this. Then this is supposed to be customer. Now we have all the dashboards created. We can be able to try the login. We'll use this user. I added wrong password. You can see it shows invalid credential. So I'm going to use the user again. This is correct password. So now it says unable to generate URL name customer dashboard. So now I'm going to check this. You can see here we don't have customer dashboard, so it's supposed to be this. Then for the seller also, it's also going to be seller dashboard. Now I'll refresh. Now I'm going to log in again, but it is already logged in. You can see. So if I come back to this, I'm going to log out. In the login controller, there is something that we need to fix. This is logout, so the name of the route is going to be logout. That is where the error is. You can see we have logged out. So we are now going to log in again. Yes, you can see we have now logged in as customer. Our login is done successfully. Here we have come to the end of this lecture.